Let me briefly remind you how these awards work. MPs are nominated by individuals and grassroots community organisations and are then asked to provide information about their work with underrepresented, deprived and minority communities. This information, along with checks and research by the Patchwork Foundation, is provided to the independent judges without, and I do stress this, without any indication of the nominees' names, gender, party, etc. It is completely anonymous, and I don't know of any other award ceremony that plays it that way. I must say at this point how grateful we are to our sponsors KPMG. They have been extremely supportive of Patchwork's work, particularly our work out of London, in Manchester, for example, and two of their partners who have been instrumental in helping us engage underrepresented communities are Jonathan Holt and Siddiq Musa.
As Martin said, or I don't know whether Martin did say, I'm a partner at KPMG based in Manchester, and Manchester is now referred to as the centre of the Northern Powerhouse. We see in Manchester being the city that's always been the UK's powerhouse and the real capital. And if you follow football, over the last 20 years, you'll have noticed that Manchester's been looking down at London from the summit of the Premier League table. We're proud to sponsor these awards for the second year running, and really proud of our association with Patchwork. Firstly, let me congratulate and celebrate the achievements of those MPs that are going to be receiving their awards. Awards for their work in the community and giving underrepresented communities a real voice. Coming back to Patchwork's work of encouraging people, particularly young people from minorities, to actually engage in the political process and help influence decisions that are made in their neighbourhoods and in their towns, strikes a real chord with us at KPMG. Over the last few years, we've been encouraging our staff, particularly our younger staff, and you won't believe, and I'm shocked to sort of, when I did a little bit of research, that the average age of an employee at KPMG is 26. We have been trying to encourage our staff, our younger staff, to actually become active citizens and engage in the political process. Now, as you would expect, we're absolutely neutral, but we want our staff to have a voice and to make a better society. And actually, their engagement, young people's engagement in politics, hopefully helps build trust in politics itself and our institutions, a trust like trust in business, which sadly is under challenge at the moment. Together with that, we've also introduced other initiatives to ensure that, or to help ensure that the communities in which we have our offices are successful. And that's not because it's the right thing to do. Of course, it's the right thing to do. But we firmly believe that the more vibrant and successful the community that we have our business in, the more successful our business will be. We also recognise that the makeup of our staff has to reflect the communities in which we have our offices. We have to open up access to young people from all backgrounds to a career and opportunities at a prestige employer like KPMG. And to help in that aim, we've introduced an apprenticeship programme called KPMG 360, which will allow a young person who cannot or has not secured a place at university the chance to actually build a career at KPMG. And that irony isn't lost on me or my colleague who, although never been to university, we run a team of 300 across the UK. And for the last 15 years, we've only allowed people into our team that have had a university education. So that irony certainly isn't lost on us and not lost on our wider partner group. And we recognise that unless we tap into the talents of all parts of the community, we limit our own success. And our senior partner, Simon Collins, became the first senior partner of any professional services firm in the UK to set a firm target for representation at senior grades. In a professional services firm, it tends to be at partner level. For representation at partner level, setting specific targets by gender, by sexual orientation, disability, and staff from the BME community. And only last week, we sat at a roundtable discussion with the Prime Minister and we signed up to a blind name recruitment process which hopefully will take out any potential discrimination from the recruitment process itself. So, as I said, these things are not only the right things to do, we believe they make complete business sense and will make KPMG a stronger organisation. That's all I want to say at the moment. I want to congratulate the MPs that are going to receive the award, but particularly I want to thank Patchwork for the great work that they do.
Absolutely fascinating, that process you were describing with the Prime Minister, and that is KPMG, I think, setting the lead in a particularly crucial area for the future of our country, let alone their particular industry. Next we're going to hear from Kat Brooker about her considerable journey with Patchwork, rising to her current job as Deputy Chief of Staff. So Kat, where are you?
This weekend, some of you may have celebrated Halloween or the Rugby Cup World Final. I'm not sure, what you celebrated this weekend, but actually I celebrated my birthday on the 1st of November. I turned 21, and it was really strange for me because I never really thought that I'd get this far. A 10-year-old me didn't look, it didn't look feasible. When I was growing up, I kind of got it into my head that good things didn't happen to people like me, and I didn't really have a future. And something my mum said to me a while ago, a really long time ago, that, I'm limitless and I'm capable of anything. It didn't really sink in until recently. So thanks, Mum, for that and for looking after me for 29 years. Nice job. I just wanted to explain to you all while I'm here why I decided to join the Patchwork team. I joined Patchwork originally as a masterclass graduate, and then I went on to help the team simply to help other people. I wanted other people to have the same opportunities that I've been fortunate enough to experience. The thing is about being a patchworker is you get to leave a legacy. You don't just have a masterclass with Nick Clegg or like a campaigning session with Caroline Lucas or even like a hug from Zach Goldsmith and forget about it. That's the beautiful thing about being a patchworker. You get to leave something behind. And it really, really took me a long time to realise that the people that we help get involved, they don't forget about things either. They too are impacted. Patchwork is unique and Patchwork is special because we give young people a lot of political knowledge, but we also give them a lot of personal power. Not many other organisations do that. We get rid of glass ceilings and we open doors for young people. The decision to join a team was also a very, very personal one. As a young woman of colour, as a gay person, as an intersectional feminist, and as someone who struggled with disability and poverty throughout life, I can honestly say that I've never found a place more welcoming than the Patchwork family. And if they can do this for me, and I'm very picky, then I'm sure that they can do this for everyone. We just, with your support, with everyone's support in this room, we can do much more. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone for being here and thank everyone for their support. And also I wanted to gloat a little bit too, because I think we deserve to. We should be proud of ourselves, and I know Harris won't do it, so I have to step in and take over there. This year alone, we've gone to the Labour, Liberal Democrat and Conservative Party conferences. And newly this year, we've also gone to the SNP Party conference. We've done a general election hustings at KPMG and also Labour leadership hustings, kindly also supported by KPMG. And that's not it. We're also going to do mayoral electioneering campaigning in 2016, and we're also going to the European Parliament in February. And I know the rest of the team is really, really excited about that. Patchwork has thrived from the support that the Patchwork Foundation provides, but that support is only possible because of the support that you give it, people in this room. So while this is a celebration and the people getting their awards, I will applaud you, it's also a challenge. I'm challenging you to make my story less exceptional. I'm challenging you to make it so that everyone knows across the constituencies of the UK that they too can do anything they want, and they too are limitless, and they can do anything they want under the sun.
Thanks very much indeed for your enthusiasm and your inspiration that you give to all of us. And an interesting thought there, maybe Patchwork ought to recruit all the mums of everybody around here, because your mum is here, yes? Well, let's give Kat's mum a round of applause, shall we? Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have new patrons on board, and I'm particularly delighted that one of them is my distinguished broadcasting colleague, the political commentator and interviewer, a man with his own programmes, John Pienaar. And John opened up a studio several times to young patchwork folk during the course of the election campaign. It would be deeply uncharacteristic, from what I know of John, if as a new kid on the block he didn't want to say a few words. So, John, where are you?
Hello, everyone. I will just say a few words. I'll keep it down to an hour, maybe two, but you'll bear with me through all of that. It's good to be here. It's good to be part of these Patchwork Awards, which are a reminder of how far we've come as we've taken this journey together towards the creation of a patchwork Britain, but also a reminder of how much more there is still to do, because there is still a lot to do. And that's one of the reasons Patchwork is here and why it has a point. I've been doing this writing and broadcasting about politics for quite a lot longer than most of you guys in this room have been alive, and for at least as long as many of the members of Parliament who are here have been members of Parliament, or those who packed into the chamber for Prime Minister's questions just a short while ago. I started here, it was in 1980, as a young hack for the Press Association News Agency, when Margaret Thatcher was a green, new, young Prime Minister. And during my time at the Independent newspaper a few years later on, the Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow, whose portrait adorns the wall in the next room, well, at that time, he was a fiery young leader of the Federation of Conservative Students. I remember being there as a reporter for the Indy, the FCS conference, and John Bercow, among other things, was leading a campaign to rename Heathrow Airport, which the FCS decided was far too soft and woolly a name. They wanted it called Thatchero, and that was one of the highlights of an interesting weekend. Now, a lot's changed since that time, including the House of Commons itself. There are many more women in the chamber of the House of Commons, which has to be a good thing. Not enough, but there are more women, and there are at least more members of Parliament who are members of ethnic minority and underrepresented communities. In the last election in May, just over 40 members came from ethnic minority communities. That's about a dozen up on the figure for 2005, and about a dozen up at that point from the figure for the previous election. When I started doing this thing during the 80s, the mid-80s at the Indy, you could fit all the ethnic minority MPs into a taxi, and before that, not long before that, a tandem would have done the job. Before that, you'd have needed a search party, and they would have come back empty-handed. So, look, things have changed. There's a lot more to do. And if Britain is to resemble the House of Commons itself, then obviously more women and more members of minority communities need to be elected to the House of Commons. But one of the big points of Patchwork, one of the big points of this gathering and these awards, is that you don't have to be a member of a minority community to represent and understand and want to understand and serve constituents from wherever they come, from whatever community they happen to come from. And I'm very happy to say it is encouraging to be able to say that awareness of that fact has grown significantly. It's grown faster than the number of MPs who happen to come from minority communities. Now, as a broadcaster with the BBC, I'm not here, it's not my role, it's not my duty to campaign in support of any cause or be an advocate for any particular case. But I am very happy to be a patron of Patchwork and to do whatever I am able to do to support Patchwork and the foundation of the work of Patchwork. The case for engaging people in our politics is too obvious to state, especially in this company, in this place. But it's not so obvious that there are not millions of people out there who feel that politics has nothing to do with them, that knows and understands nothing of their lives, that politicians are a species apart. And nowhere is that, as so many of us in this room understand, nowhere is that phenomenon deeper than it is among minority ethnic communities and also among poorer white communities in our towns and cities. Patchwork is here to try to do something about all of that. Now, I'm saying this not just because I've a vested interest, because I have. I want people to listen to my programme on Sunday morning. I'm saying it because it happens to be true. And these awards today hopefully will do something to encourage all of us along that road, including our members of Parliament. It'll be good to see them get their gongs. Those who don't happen to get gongs, it's not because they're not committed as the ones who do get gongs, but as someone, a member of an industry where we are near obsessed with awards, an award ceremony, I do know it's quite nice to get one now and again and to join in the applause when that happens. So let's enjoy the award ceremony a little later on today, Martin. I know that we will. It's been good to be among you here. Let's have an enjoyable couple of hours. Thank you.
John, thanks very much indeed. I can't tell you how great it is to have you on board as a patron, given all your political connections and the work that you do in the broadcasting political arena. So thanks very much indeed. Right, we're going to kick off with the presentation of certificates to Patchwork's Masterclass graduates of 2014-15. Now, the Patchwork Foundation's unique Masterclass programme gives young leaders from underrepresented, deprived and minority communities of all backgrounds the chance to engage dynamically with experts in the political field. Participants on the 9-month-long programme have exclusive access to experts in intimate settings, it says here. I'm not sure how intimate, but intimate settings where they have the chance to learn, question and develop their knowledge and skills. Masterclass topics include political campaigning, negotiation, coalition building, international relations, interviewing skills and policy making, amongst others. Previous masterclass tutors have included Linton Crosby, campaign director for the Conservative Party in the general election, and our graduates have also had a private tour of Downing Street. So please come up as I call out your names. Come up all together. We have Oliver Cassin, Hilda Asiedu, Nana Ya Achimpong, Katrina Brooker, Ayub Dosani, Sajida Patel, Fatana Jami and Temi Shogalola. Let's have you all up here. More than 60 MPs were nominated from right across the country, including MPs from different faith groups and ethnic backgrounds. And they were judged on how they worked with 5 key communities in their constituencies. 1, deprived communities, including white working class communities. 2, faith communities. 3, ethnic communities. 4, sexual orientation communities. And 5, other communities traditionally excluded by the political process. And the certificate for Labour Party MP of the year 2015 goes to Stella Creasy. The winner of the Labour Party MP of the year 2015 is Chuka Umana. Would you like a few words?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm really humbled, honoured and privileged to get this award, and I really would like to dedicate it to my community, which I was born in and grew up in, and I just love representing every single day. I also just want to use this as an opportunity to pay tribute to Patchwork. Martin and I were talking a bit earlier about this, but the work that this foundation does is incredibly important. When I was growing up, there were not people who looked like me in this House of Commons. Famously, Lord Heseltine, who was a former Deputy Prime Minister, wrote on the back of a napkin his plan to become Prime Minister, which started when he was a young lad and ended up when he was an adult. I never had any kind of plan like that because I didn't see people who looked like me in this place and therefore didn't really think that there was a place for me here until the likes of Paul Boateng, Bernie Grant, Keith Vaz and Diane Abbott were elected in 1987. And I think what this foundation does is really does connect young people who were like me back then to this place and shows that you have every right to expect to be given an opportunity to represent your communities as every other person. And I just want to say to particularly all of the young people here, we cannot have a politics that operates properly unless not only you get involved, but actually we have more of you in this place representing all of our different communities. So it particularly, for me, means a lot to get this from this foundation. And there's some fantastic, wicked young people who came campaigning with me in Streatham, who I see around me. Come back. We'll keep on campaigning. Thank you very much.
We now go to the certificate for Labour Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-2015, one of our new awards this year. That goes to Diane Abbott. And now we come to winner, Labour Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-2015, goes to Ed Miliband.
Well, I think this is the first time in my life I can say I'm speaking on behalf of me and Diane Abbott. I feel like I should be donating some of my time to Diane. Look, I just want to thank Patchwork for the brilliant work that you do. And I also want to say to the young people who I was meeting earlier on, I had some selfies with, just how inspiring you are. I mean, hearing about some of your projects which you're doing through Patchwork, like in North London helping 20 Syrian refugee families, working with Arsenal Football Club, I mean, really, really inspiring. And I'll just tell you one little anecdote about the House of Commons, which shows that things do need to change. And I think the Speaker has been at the forefront of changing this. When I first got in here, I said, perhaps we should have the Youth Parliament sit in Parliament once a year. I said to one of the old lags who shall remain nameless. And he said, no, no, no. He said, we couldn't possibly have that. Think how badly they will behave. Now, if you look at Prime Minister's questions, which I was a participant in for a number of years, and if you look at the way the Youth Parliament behaves, you know which is better behaved. And it's not the parliamentarians. So I think hearing the voices of young people in our politics is an incredibly important project. I think it spans right across parties. I think Patchwork is right at the forefront of it. And I dedicate this award to all of the young people, because you're the future of the country and your voices are incredibly important. Thanks very much.
Angela Eagle, who is the Labour Party People's Choice MP of the Year 2015. Angela.
It's a very great privilege to be recognised for doing a job that you love anyway, and a job that is a privilege to do. But a job in politics is important, because I've always grown up thinking that if you don't do politics, you get it done to you. And the whole idea of having a democracy is that the voice of everybody, wherever they live, whatever their values, ought to be heard and properly represented in our politics. And I'd like to thank Patchwork, as have all colleagues who've been given any recognition by this award ceremony, for the work that they do. You might be like Heineken. I think you're a bit more robust than Heineken. And I think that you are laying the foundations for an exciting future in the battle for equality that I've been privileged to be a part of during my time in politics, I will continue to be a part of until my dying day.
The certificate of Conservative Party MP of the Year 2015, and that goes to Sajid Javid. And the winner, Conservative Party MP of the Year 2015, is Justine Greening.
Well, thank you very much. It's a huge honour to get this award, actually. And I'm going to give a slightly different reflection, maybe, to some of the other people you've heard from today. And I agree with absolutely everything that they've said about why it's so important to get young people, and indeed particularly young people from ethnic minorities, involved in politics. It's certainly something I tried to do in my own constituency. But I had this idea of seeing what I could do to get young people involved in my department as well as in Parliament. And so DFID's been going through a bit of a journey over the last couple of years to really open up our doors to get young people inside the department and genuinely working with us on how we look at what programs we're doing, how we develop policy. We started last year when we did the Girls' Summit, and it was all about tackling FGM and ending child marriage. But before that, I thought it would be fantastic if we just opened up our doors on the Saturday and had a whole load of young people in talking about the same issues and saying what their views were on them. And indeed, through that day, we set up something called Youth for Change, and it's now operating in 4 or 5 countries in Africa. We're actually doing the first Girls' Summit held by the African Union later this month. But the most passionate advocates of change for so many of the things DFID's involved in are young people. So we're grabbing onto all of that. It's incredibly inspirational, and now we're seeing that young people actually can be part of how things change on the ground, as well as the people and the voices who are shouting for change in the first place. So it's fantastic to get this. I'd like to say a thank you to all of my DFID staff who have worked with me on all this stuff and have been brilliant at coming up with their own ideas about how we can truly and properly pull young people into our department. And my message to any of you here who are thinking maybe politics isn't something for you, is it really a thing that you can get involved with meaningfully? I'm somebody who had no plan whatsoever to become an MP. I went through university not involved in politics. I started my career not involved in politics, and I suddenly realized that actually this is how you get things changed. And that maybe if you want to see change, maybe if you have your own ideas, actually this is a place where you can put them into practice and work with other people to move things forward on the things that you care about most. No one in my family had been in politics, no one in my family had gone to university before me. So whatever you may see sat on the benches, actually everybody's got their own story. And I'm going to guarantee to you that many of them will be stories just like your own. So give it a go, be part of this process, give this system a chance to bring you in and to have your voice in it. And it will be so much stronger if you can do that. Thank you.
And the certificate for Conservative Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-15 goes to Dominic Grieve. And the winner, Conservative Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-2015, is Chris Grayling.
Thank you very much indeed. It's a great honour to be given this award, and particular honour to be given it by Patchwork, who I think do amazing work. The stories of the work that you've all done, the experiences you all had, the chances that we've had as parliamentarians to work with you, I think have been hugely valuable to all of us involved. And I think I'd like to pay tribute particularly to all the trustees of Patchwork, to everyone who's been involved in making it happen, because this has been and continues to be a really great foundation. It's making a real difference. And I suppose what I'd say to all of you who've been involved in the Patchwork courses, gone through the graduate schemes, let me tell you a story. 15 years ago, I was one of the last 3 in the selection for the leafy country constituency of Wealdon in Sussex. And the last 3 were myself, David Cameron, and Charles Hendry, who was the person who got selected. 3 white men, all in our sort of late 30s, early 40s. Today, the MP for Wealdon is a young Asian woman. And so what I'd be saying to you is, don't think of this as a glass ceiling that has still to be broken. It is a glass ceiling that has already broken. But of course, the opportunities that's there will only be there for you if you turn up to take advantage of it. And what's great about Patchwork is bringing all of you into contact with the political world, bringing you into contact with politicians. All of us in this room, from whatever party we come, want to encourage all of you to become involved, to be involved, to think of careers in politics, because we all want to see a diverse House of Commons that reflects the society in which we live. And so look upon this as just a start. There is a long way to go for all of you. There's great things to achieve for all of you. We all want you to be part of this process, to be part of our democracy, to be part of this House of Commons. And so wherever and however you choose to follow your political path, whoever you choose to vote for, whoever you choose to stand for, whatever you believe in, please be part of it, because every one of us, no matter what our party, wants every one of you to be involved. Thank you.
The winner, Conservative Party People's Choice MP of the year 2015, is Riemann Chishti MP.
Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you to everyone and for Patchwork for giving me this prestigious award. And I've got to say, I don't think I'm worthy of it, looking at the contribution made by other members of Parliament over many, many, many years. And I just want to say, look, my father was an imam, my grandfather was an imam, and my uncle is an imam. And so people used to say to me, you should be an imam, not a member of Parliament. But I just want to say how Parliament has moved and changed over many years. And I think there's a long way that needs to go. But at this point in time, I've got to say, look, to all the colleagues around here, you're doing a brilliant job. One thing which I did over the last 8 months, going out around the country, engaging with the Muslim community prior to the election, was one of the community said to me, look, our great faith is linked to a terrorist organization, so-called Islamic State. It's neither Islamic or a state. Then you come back to Parliament and you work with colleagues in the SNP, Labour, Lib Dems, Greens, to say, let's give it a new terminology and not link terrorist organization to people's faith. And we did that. Now the Prime Minister, ministers and members of Parliament from across the House use that term. So thank you to colleagues who supported in that effect. But it just shows if you go out, if you engage, you listen, you've got brilliant colleagues of all political parties who will support you to make that change. So thank you very much, and thank you to Patchwork.
The certificate for what we're calling Other Party MP of the year 2015 is Tom Brake. And the winner, Other Party MP of the year 2015, goes to the SNP's Angus Robertson.
been instructed to keep this tight. I will do it. A short speech. First of all, this is a very rare event. It's very rare to find politicians of all political parties in a room and agreeing with each other. So we should celebrate that. And we're here for an important reason. We do passionately want all of our political parties and our democracy to reflect the nations and regions that we represent. I'm delighted that in my party we have a 20-year-old member of parliament. 12 million people watched Mhairi Black's maiden speech in Parliament. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to do that. I know a lot of people have been inspired by it. We have the first Scottish Muslim woman elected at Westminster. In the Scottish Government, we have a 50-50 gender-balanced cabinet. We have an External Affairs Minister who is a Scottish Asian. We are the gayest parliamentary party in the developed world. So we are ticking many. I should incidentally say we are almost exclusively educated in state schools, and although almost all of us went to university, none of us went to two very prestigious universities, which tend to be a sign of elitism. I'm not standing here saying that the SNP is perfect, and I'm certainly not criticizing other political parties, because we are all on a journey. We are all trying to make things better. Still much to do, but thank you very much for this award. It's an honour.
And the certificate for Other Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-15 goes to Tim Farron. And the winner of the Other Party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-15 award is Nick Clegg.
Well, thank you very, very much. Ever since we did so badly in the election, I keep receiving prizes. So I don't know whether this is another expression of Patchwork's famous compassion and sympathy, but thank you very much indeed. It's a great honour. I have a long association with Patchwork, and I have always been so impressed from when I was a party leader before the 2010 election, throughout my time as Deputy Prime Minister. I was Deputy Prime Minister, Chuka, without a napkin. So where is he? No, because he said we all have these napkin plans. I didn't. And throughout all of those years, I have just been so impressed, as I know everybody here has been so impressed from all parties, by the way in which Patchwork liberates, emancipates, inspires, the way in which Patchwork and everything that you do is a standing rebuke to the idea that young people are not interested in politics, a standing rebuke to the idea that you're born into your lot in life and you can't dream beyond the limits that other people impose upon you.
And the winner of Other Party People's Choice MP of the Year 2015 is Norman Lamb. Say a few words.
Well, just very quickly, I pay enormous tribute to the work of Patchwork. There is still, despite everything we've said, an incredibly long way still to go in this country. Too often, chances in life are still based on the circumstances of your birth. And so there is a massive job still to be done by Patchwork and by us in challenging that. And I commit myself to do everything I can to support Patchwork in its work. My particular passion is fighting for equality for those who suffer from mental ill health. I asked a question to the Prime Minister today about it, but there is a historic injustice that people who suffer from mental ill health do not get the same right to access treatment on time as others enjoy. And you can't begin to justify that. It's discrimination at the heart of our NHS, and it holds people back from exploiting their talents to the full. And I will continue that fight until we achieve genuine equality. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, we come to our final three categories. Overall Party MP of the Year 2015. Overall Party MP of the Year 2015. That goes to Zach Goldsmith.
Wow, thank you. I thought it was going to be a Lib Dem clean sweep for a few moments there. It's an enormous privilege to get a prize like this, but it's really a double honour to get a thumbs up from an organisation like Patchwork. You've heard so many eulogies to Patchwork, but they happen also to be true. I've seen with my own eyes on many occasions what this powerful new organization, new in the sense that it's only been around for 4 or 5 years, but has done so much to reach out to people who don't believe they have a part in our democracy, in our political system, and inspires them, and it shows them the way, and it gives them the confidence to get involved. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've had the benefit of campaigners in my own constituency helping me to get re-elected, and I don't know whether I managed to inspire them at all, but my word, they inspired me on the doorstep. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And the overall party MP of the parliamentary term 2010-15 is Caroline Lucas.
Well, just to say what a real honour it is to receive this award, thank you so much. And I want to just simply dedicate it to all the extraordinary people I have the privilege of working with in Brighton. They are people, for example, who staff the Women's Refuge, which gives support to women fleeing violence. They are people who work at the BMECP, the Brighton Muslim and Ethnic Community Partnership, a wonderful organisation that is so welcoming to all newcomers into Brighton. The people that have set up City of Sanctuary in Brighton, the people that work with Mind Out, which is the lesbian and gay and bisexual organisation, particularly focusing on young people with mental health. The list goes on, but the bottom line is that these are amazing people with whom I am really privileged to work. I want to thank Patchwork in particular, as everyone else has, in the sense that I do think they are a bit like Heineken. They get to those places that others don't get, so it's not a very good analogy, but you know what I mean. You do reach places that other organizations, I think, don't. And what you've been able to do in terms of inspiring young people to believe that politics is something for them, I think is so exciting for all of us and a lesson for all of us, because it is still the case that this place, I think, seems enormously remote from so many people, and I'm sure people are sitting thinking, how on earth do we influence this very, very strange place? And I think what Patchwork does is to basically say in those lovely words, we are the people we're waiting for. In other words, if we want to change things, then it's all of us together, all of us, who can do that, and any of you. So thank you so much to Patchwork. Thank you for all of the fun and the laughter that you brought to the election campaign in Brighton. I really loved working with you and look forward to doing so again. Thanks so much.
And the overall People's Choice MP of the year 2015 is Sadiq Khan. Sadiq, I know you'd like to say a few words. I hope it won't end up with another private eye picture, which was there last year, if you remember, which was very funny, actually. But I have to say, not because of you, but because of your misnamed constituents, as it were.
Thank you very much. Can I say what a richly deserved award this is? Look, all the best speeches are like the best politicians, short and sweet, and I'll keep mine short and sweet. This has been like a speed dating of my favourite politicians. You've heard 2-minute speeches, nuggets from some wonderful politicians. It's good to see one of my best friends, Ed Miliband, receive an award, but it's great to see Nick Clegg, Tim Farron, Caroline Lucas, and others, Chuka and others as well here today, Angus, of course, as well. Can I just say this, Patchwork, you have an important mission, which is to make it normal for people from our backgrounds, as Justine said, to think politics is for them. To think it normal, as Angus has said, to think actually it's possible to go to a state school and not to an Oxford University and feel comfortable in this place. The reality is none of us has a front room like this. But some MPs do. And what we need to do is make sure there are more and more MPs here who look like the communities we seek to represent. And my final comment is this. I love campaigning, but spending time with the Patchwork crew, knocking on doors, delivering leaflets, doing social media, I thought I was fit. I thought I was fast. I thought I was good, but you guys are scary. And so thank you for all that you do. And what's wonderful, the other wonderful thing about Patchwork is they work with all political parties. And what's wonderful about what Nick said and what Ed said and Chris and Sajid and Justine, Angus and Carol Lucas, we should have a race for trying to recruit and get these people involved in politics, because this is the future. And what makes it so exciting, Martin, about these awards is the enthusiasm we leave with. Actually, we leave here much more enthusiastic than you. I mean, we are more inspired by you than you'll ever be by us. So thank you very much.
I have two final thank yous. One is to the Speaker, John Bercow, who has been held up in business and greatly regrets that he couldn't actually be with us today, but we are enormously grateful for the use of his august emporium, which you see all around you. And I would finally like to thank the judges who did a really terrific work in choosing all these MPs and selecting them from the short list of 60. So Shabir Randari, who is the chairman of Mosaic, Simon Woolley, the founder of Operation Black Vote, Andrea Cooper, Alex Meminger, Yamin Akhtar from Three Faiths Forum, Sophie Stevens from Citizens UK, and Jonathan Freeman, who is the national director of Mosaic. Just a final thought before you go. It's a really great quotation, I think, by an American professor, and I saw it on the back page of the very first annual report of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. And it went something like this: the future is not some place we are going to, but one we are creating. The paths to it are made, not found, and the process of making them changes both the maker and the destinations. And I think that some really great change has been started here, not just through Patchwork and the people involved in Patchwork, but also with the MPs who have so risen splendidly to the occasion to help in so many ways introduce that kind of integration that we really want in our society. So huge thanks to everyone, huge congratulations to the winners, and to paraphrase an MP some years back, go back to your constituencies and prepare for more integration. Thank you.